Hi everyone! This is the second lesson of creating the game Battle City with language Kotlin and Android Studio. If you didn't watch the previous lesson, we created the game field, player's tank, and added some basic movements. In this lesson, I will create some boundaries and place the game container in the center of the screen. Also, I will make this game adjustable for every device, no matter of dimensions. You also can find the link to the source of code in the description of the video. Let's start. First of all, I'll create boundaries to let no tank to go through frame of the device. Let's think together. We move our tank in the method onKeyDown. It will be logical to assume that we need to change this method in order to add boundaries. In order to change margins, width and height of our tank, we need to interact with an object layout params of our tank. The parameters of this object show how to draw our view on its container. To reduce boilerplate code, I will create a variable of layout params in the beginning of the method onKeyDown. However, how can we know that tank is trying to cross the borders of container? Every view on our layout has x and y axis coordinates. These coordinates belong to the top left point of our view. So, if top or left margins is less than 0, tank obviously tries to cross top or left border. What about right and bottom boundaries? Let's think. If we just use margins of top left point, tank will disappear beyond the boundaries. So we need to summarize margin of tank and its width and height, and compare this size with the size of container. If our condition satisfies, tank moves further. As you can see, there are no existing variables named container width and container height in our code yet. You can see they are highlighted red in Android Studio. Don't be frightened, we will create these variables in a few minutes. In the meantime, we create two constant variables because they won't change in terms of the whole game. Tank cell size, which is 2 cells, and container size in cells, which is 26, likewise in the original game. Next, I want to change width and height of container. I cannot do it in onCreate method because views are not created yet. We have a special method in which our container's measures will be surely assigned. This method's name is onWindowFocusChanged. The major reason why I need the method onWindowsFocusChanged is that I want to calculate cell size one single time and no more to avoid extra calculations. In order to do that, I need to create a global variable in class mainActivity named cell size. The assignment will be the matter of method getCellDimensions. That's it. Now, after assignment, this variable will be stored in our main activity. Let's write implementation for our method getCellDimensions. We can rotate our device so minimum value of width and height can be changed places. That's why we need at first to find the smallest value of them. This task can handle the Java class math and its method min, which will return a smallest value of two numbers. So, to get a cell size, we need at first to subtract the remainder of the division of 26 from container width value. After that, we need to divide received value on 26 and we will receive cell size. Now I want to create in our main activity class couple methods. One is to get container width and height size. In order to do that, I will multiply cell size on the number of container cells, which is 26. Another method will return the tongue size. To do that, I will multiply cell size on the number of tongue cells, which is 2. Let's make our changes visible. In order to do that, go into main activity layout. First, I add to container black background. Also, I add 6 dpi margins to better see the gaps between container and another layout. Also, I will assign attribute layout gravity to center. That will locate our field container in the center of the whole screen. Let's launch our application and see what is happening there. We can see that our boundary is working, but container's height is bigger than we need. Also, the size of tank should be adjustable to device width and height. Let's go for it. Firstly, I create a package entity. There we're gonna store all entity classes. Usually they all are data classes in Kotlin. Now I create a new class named dimensions. That will be a data class with two variables of width and height in its constructor. That will make upper abstraction level and is adjusting of view objects which have width and height. Now I create another package, utils, and a new class, view extensions. There I'm gonna store all common methods related to view. But what means extension in the name of the class? There are Kotlin extensions feature. I will leave the link below the video to provide full context. Long story short, they provide you an ability to extend your class with a method which can be located outside of the class. Let's see my example. So I will create a method assign dimensions and will make it an extension of view class. So this method can be treated as it is a method from view class. That's pretty cool. Thanks Kotlin. Next, I will make dimensions object as an input parameter for this method. And in its implementation, I will apply width and height of dimension to our view layout params object. After that, I will request layout to update. And that's it. Our view have width and height that we wanted to. Now I am returning in main activity class and invoke our assign dimensions method on container object. I invoke this method with a new dimensions object as a parameter. I put inside of it the size of container, which I can get from a method getContainerSize. Now the compiler shows a compilation error because we have to pass width and height parameter inside of our dimensions object. We presume that dimensions can be applied for rectangle object, but our container is a square. Let's go inside dimension constructor and assign width to height value by default. Now we only need one parameter to create square dimension. That is why you should love Kotlin comparing with Java. In Java, we would had to create some overload constructors and tons of boilerplate code. Let's do the same thing for myTongue view. We assign to this view a new dimensions object with value of getTongueSize method. And basically this is it. Now we have a container with 26 cells width and height and tongue with 2 cells width and height. Let's go for testing it. Well, this is a strange behavior. Our tongue goes partly through the container in right and bottom. Actually, that happens because we assign new dimensions related to cell size to container and tongue. But we didn't change logic related to changing margins when tongue moves. We still append and subtract 50 pixels to our margins. The easy way to do that is just to replace 50 pixels with our cell size variable. But I think it will be more appropriate to refactor the logic of margin change. We're gonna need margin changes often in this project, so it makes sense to make it more convenient in the beginning. I mean writing some sort of wrapper. So firstly, I will create a new class with the name margins. It will be a data class and it's gonna store inside 4 variables: top, right, bottom and left. And obviously all these variables gonna be integers. Now we need to assign those margins to our view. We go into View Extensions class and create a new method with the name setMargins, with margins object as a parameter. As well as the method above, setMargins will interact with an object layout params from the View class. In order to do this, Kotlin has a great inline function named apply. I will add the link for home reading below the video. Long story short, function apply can apply changes to some object without creating additional variable. Inside of apply block, we're gonna set our margins from past object to layout params. So to move our object in all directions, we need to change left and top margins of it. To move object top, we reduce top margin. To move it right, we increase left margin. To move bottom, we increase top margin. To move left, reduce top margin. After that, request layout to update, and that's it, margins changed. We wrote our first wrapper. Let's go for applying these changes. Firstly, I go into main activity method on keydown and remove request layout code. We already request layout in the method setMargins and duplicates should be avoided. Next, I invoke the method setMargins on my tongue object. In order to do that, I need new margins object. The compiler tells me that I need 4 parameters to create new margins object, but actually I don't need to pass zeros every time I want to change only one margin. For that reason, I go into margins class and assign default values for all variables as 0. Now I can create margins object even without single parameter. One more lovely thing about Kotlin. I was already excited with these default parameters, but if you imagine how much code I would write with Java, you will understand my feelings. Now it is pretty convenient to use this object. I need to pass one value and give it a name, so it will be top when user press button up, and pretty the same for the other directions. Let's run our application and see that left and right movements are okay, but up and bottom are totally not okay. That's because I made a mistake in setMargins method. I should change left margin to move right and left, and I changed right margin. Fix that and start again. That is it. We have a container with boundaries, which will look the same on devices with different dimensions, so we can launch our game on every Android phone. And that's it. The code for this tutorial you can find in the description of the video. Leave your comments if you have any questions. Bye.